This paper here is looking at what causes you to terminate your breathing at the end, or if you're holding your breath, what are the reasons that you have to resume breathing at the end of it? Traditionally, it was thought it was carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is the main stimulus to breathe. The body breathes to get rid of excess CO2. In actual fact, oxygen doesn't drive your breathing unless you are at a very high altitude. It's only when oxygen levels drop by half in the blood will oxygen stimulate your breathing. So in the main, carbon dioxide is the stimulus to breathe. Every breath that you take is driven by carbon dioxide, not by oxygen. Does that make sense? So the body breathes to get rid of excess CO2. When you're doing a breath hold, is it the carbon dioxide that's terminating your breath hold, or is it other factors? Carbon dioxide is going to have a big role to play, but not the only role. And this is more so for instance, for free diving, etc. Breath holding has been done for a long time, since the 1930s. This individual here, Schneider, he was doing breath holding up to 15 minutes and 13 seconds under comparable. This is back in the 1930s. Breath holding is a very normal thing for a human being to do. Part of our evolution, we would have went down to the seafloor, picked up food, picked up oysters, and came back up again. Some evolutionary theorists are saying that some of the unique features of the human being have been developed as a result of breath holding that we would have been doing throughout our evolution. So it's a very normal thing to do. We don't expect 15 minutes, by the way. That's superhuman, yeah? That's a huge effect, but it goes to show there's a little bit of a history with it. 59, this individual here was slowing down his metabolism, which will improve your breath hold ability. Hyperventilating, we don't hyperventilate. There is a technique called the Wim Hof technique, which is quite similar to what I do, but he hyperventilates for 30 breaths and then he does a long breath hold. We don't hyperventilate. So he creates a hypoxic hypocapnic response. We create a hypercapnic hypoxic response. There is a difference, yeah? If you hyperventilate and if you breathe hard, you get rid of CO2, and if you get rid of a lot of CO2, you're going to hold your breath for a lot longer because CO2 is the alarm to breathe. If you breathe heavy and you get rid of the alarm to breathe, well then the sensation to take a breath has been depleted. You'll hold your breath for longer. Hyperventilation doesn't allow you to hold your breath for longer because of the increase of oxygen saturation in the blood. No. If we were to measure your blood oxygen saturation now, it will be almost fully loaded. So if you breathe harder, you're not going to bring any more oxygen into the blood, but the breathing harder gets rid of CO2. The lungs alone should contain enough oxygen to sustain us for about 4 minutes, and carbon dioxide doesn't accumulate to toxic levels quick enough to explain the 1 minute. Most people will hold their breath for 1 minute. This point here is that if you're holding your breath for 1 minute, carbon dioxide levels doesn't reach up to such a strong amount to cause cessation of the breath hold. Oxygen levels don't drop that much to cause cessation of the breath hold. There's other factors that are coming in there, and what the factors are unknown.